Uh-oh.
This is the No Lives Remaining podcast.
I thought you were doing Sonic again then.
Oh, almost.
Chocobo.
Yeah, it's a chocobo. Adam, this is
Yes.
the No Lives Remaining podcast, which
It is.
you are my co-host of. I'm Everett. Let everyone watching and listening know why the hell I'm singing.
A Chocobo song. Okay, this time we're talking about the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Basically, what do we want to see in it, or what do we want from it?
Okay. Is it chocobo or is it chocobo? I always
call
said
it
chocobo.
Yeah.
I always said chocobo.
In fact, I think I've heard both.
Okay.
Yeah, in game, so I think it's either or. Depends on your dialects.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the remake that's coming up, and this is
Yeah.
actually quite topical because it's going to be coming, and they've already announced that there is going to be some quite drastic changes.
Yes, the term they used is dramatic changes.
Sorry, drastic, dramatic. Same.
No, I know.
That's
That's
the
actual term they use. So that could mean all sorts of things, but
Does that mean that
drama?
Cloud is going to have like black hair and it's going to be like swept down, like
Yeah.
emo style in front of his face?
Well, he's already pretty emo since Final
It's
Fantasy
going to be like,
VII.
my name's Zack. And they're just going to get rid of the whole clone thing just
Yeah.
to make it less confusing.
No, I think they'll keep that.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one thing I want to talk about in this. But
yeah, so let's start with story.
Okay, yeah. Story-wise, would you like there to be any changes to the story?
No, absolutely not.
I think that's basically what everyone thinks.
Right.
No, absolutely not. But I've been playing through it again recently, the original, and I do think there's a couple of things in the story, just minor things that don't actually make that much sense. Like
Okay.
generally just character motivations. For instance, okay, spoilers.
Oh, no spoilers. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII,
Yeah.
you're not listening to this podcast.
What are you doing? Go play it.
Right.
But yeah, Shinra was a company, basically controls the entire planet effectively. They're like a massive corporation, and their secret goal is to find the Promised Land and build a brand new city there. And that's basically it. I mean, they want all the Mako energy from it so they can make more money, but they already own everything, so it's like, why are they doing this again? They never really explain that.
And why are they abducting red wolves from the desert and
Exactly.
giving them personality? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, again, they're doing everything, like, they literally do everything because they control the entire world and stuff.
But you know why Shinra is actually evil?
No.
Because whenever Shinra appears in the game, it's dun 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 dun, dun like it plays
Yeah.
like the bad guy
Evil
music, so they're obviously bad.
It's just, again, it's motivations like that I think need a bit more clarification or a bit better thinking out, because they're just doing it for more money, but they literally have all the money already, so...
Right, yeah, they could tune it up a little bit, I feel like.
Just have a different goal there, like, they want to find the Promised Land because it gives the president immortal life or something, like...
Yeah,
There you go. Job done.
Yeah. President Obama ahead of Shinra. No, I'm just kidding.
You heard it here first. But yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like I guess I agree with you. I guess like there are a few things that could be touched up. I feel like the main story shouldn't, like the main
Oh yeah.
like what it's about shouldn't be changed, but they could kind of change things to make them a little bit more understandable.
Yeah.
Like the whole cloning thing.
Yeah.
The second half of the game has always been really like just weird and diluted with the whole like visions of Zack and Sephiroth's missions and shit together, and
Yeah, I feel like that did actually help. Like, if you've played Crisis Core, it's like a prequel basically, and they do a good job of establishing Zack as a character separate from Cloud, and it does actually help a lot of the story beats make sense. Like Cloud's motivations and the way he's like acting at the start of the game and stuff. And, you know, there's the big twist in Final Fantasy VII. Where Cloud's basically mental.
Spins around a bunch.
Yeah, he's got a personality disorder, and he thinks is this other guy. It actually did a good job of making sense there, and some of the things they added in were a bit daft, but they wanted to make another extra game, so...
Right. Do you think they should add in bits and pieces of Crisis Core into this remake?
I don't think they need to, because it was already there in the original game. Like, there's little bits of Zack, like you see him and stuff. You see his family, and they're asking about him, and the characters who should know about him do know about him, and they're hiding it, and all that kind of thing. Okay. So it's there, and when you play Crisis Core, it makes these things make a lot more sense as well than just Final Fantasy VII. So it was all there, and I think it was cool. But that was one of the things I was going to say, was for me, the best part of Final Fantasy VII, the original, is like you hear Cloud's story the first time, and you're like, oh, Cloud's really cool, he was facing up against Sephiroth and all that kind of thing, and then it turns out that was obviously all a lie. It was a lie to himself as well. But then, and he goes mental and stuff, and you're thinking, what the hell's going on? Like, the whole thing's a lie. Can you trust the main character anymore? Like, in your eyes, he's just like, he's not cool at all anymore, or anything like that. And then you find out the actual truth of what happened, and what actually happened was so much more badass, so much cooler than the original story. In fact, you're just suddenly like, oh my god, that was amazing.
Right.
This guy's amazing. This is like cool. It's just such a brilliant turnaround.
So let's talk about voice acting.
Yes.
Should they voice act the game, or should it be silent protagonist?
I feel
or should it be silent protagonist, or just silent characters overall?
I feel like although there'll be some people disappointed with the voices, they all have voices now already, because they've all had voice actors in the film or Dirge of Cerberus or any of the other games. They've all been voiced, and they're usually voiced by the same voice actors as well. So it's been consistent throughout, and even things like Kingdom Hearts, they have the same voice actors. But I do feel like if they could have had voice acting in the original Final Fantasy VII, then they would have.
Right.
Like, there's a few cutscenes where they have the text on and stuff, and you can tell that they kind of want them to be able to say stuff.
Would you want Cloud to be like the gloomy emo guy that he is in the movies, or would you want him to be more like Sonic, where he's like, "Whoa, man, I'm too cool for school"? Like,
radical.
Yeah.
It's going to be a balance, isn't it? I think if they just stick to the actual script, and this is the bit what I'm most worried about, is if they stick to the original script, that did a perfect job of representing how he was taking on Zack's personality and everything. Yeah. And I think that did a really good job, and he doesn't need to be super emo or anything. The problem is, since Final Fantasy VII, every appearance of Cloud has been emo, whether it was the film, the games,
Kingdom Hearts,
the prequels, Kingdom Hearts, even Dissidia, the fighting game. He's just like, he's just so brooding and stuff.
I'm gonna pull out my Buster Sword and kill you.
It's like, oh my god, I can't do this. I can't talk too much. I can't tell you too much story because I'm badass.
I'm Batman.
And then you just like turn away.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it should be voice acted. I think voice acting's gotten to a point nowadays. If they put enough money into it, it could be good.
Okay. Important question.
Yeah.
Who should play Barrett?
Oh, definitely Mr. T.
Exactly.
There's no other option.
It's playing himself. It'll just say Mr. T as himself.
I guess if Mr. T declines, they could go Terry Crews. He'd be the only one I'd be okay with. But yeah. Mr. T. Justin Bieber could play Tifa. I'm just kidding.
Finally, I've got poops. Just what I wanted all along.
So there is a big deal in this remake. How are they going to do the world map and baby Cloud, like Chibi Cloud? Do you think they should stick with Chibi with like HD graphics, or should they try and make it a realistic world map?
I think they should make it a scaled down map like it is, but they don't have to make him chibi. Like, they could just have a normal character model there.
He just looked giant.
Well, he wouldn't look
compared
giant.
to the world.
Be like a tiny, fully proportioned person, like much like they did in Final Fantasy VIII.
Okay.
So, and it would still look fine. If they wanted to expand the scale of the map, that would be fine by me. Like, make it a much bigger area. Okay, and they could add more stuff in. And then they could have cool things to get around, like maybe a motorbike or something. That would be cool. But then they have other vehicles anyway. So I don't mind them adding in extra stuff like that. And if they expand the map, they can add in extra houses and little secret quests and things like that. I think that would be fine. I think as long as they keep the map, because that's one of the things missing from Final Fantasies now.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure me and you are both on the same page. Like every issue here. That's why I'm not talking as much.
Yeah.
They said that they might change the fighting style, which I have a big problem with.
Yeah, they might make it action combat.
Right, which is a horrible idea, I feel like.
It depends, because there's a few ways it could happen, and it's done badly a lot of the time. But if it's done right, like for instance, Kingdom Hearts has a very good combat system. It seems very simplistic, but once you get into it, you can see it's actually pretty good, and you've got like dodging and timing and special attacks and things you need to time appropriately.
Right.
And it's got a menu system with different magic spells that you can get to quickly.
How would they do the summons in that case?
Yeah, and again, in Kingdom Hearts, they do it where your party members will disappear. And then a summon will appear, and you can either control it or it like supports you in battle and that kind of thing, which is like what they did in Final Fantasy XIII.
See, I think that fighting style would be almost a game breaker for me. I feel like Final Fantasy VII has one of the best turn-based combat systems in any game, any RPG ever.
Yeah.
Like the whole timer-based combo system. Like if you had to put the controller down and go AFK and you didn't pause it, you're screwed. Like it would the things would keep hitting you, and that caused you to have to kind of quickly, like your fingers bit. You didn't even have to think about it. You could get through menus and do stuff for each character before the timer ran out so quickly. And I feel like that feeling was just incredible. Like being able to like just motion through the menus and get everything you wanted to do and get to like the health potion or the phoenix down before the enemy attacked you so that you could get your attack in. And I feel like that was exhilarating almost.
I completely agree, and I think if the game was basically exactly the same as it was and just had like HD graphics and things, then everyone would actually be happy. Like,
right.
That's all they need to change, really, is the graphics. And then the sound, like redo the music and stuff. And the sound effects make sense. But everything else could stay the same.
But you know they're not going to do that.
No, they're going to change some stuff. And I feel like, for me, if they were going to move away from that combat system, then a Kingdom Hearts style combat system would be the next best thing for me. Because you can still have your party members there. You know, and especially if you could switch which character you used, that you could switch between characters. But even if it was something like the original Dragon Age in terms of combat, that wouldn't be too bad. Although it wouldn't really fit, but you know.
Yeah.
So long as
I always thought, like, even when I was playing like 10, and I didn't play 8, but like even games like Skies of Arcadia and stuff, like I always wished, even though those games had great combat systems, I always wished they were like Final Fantasy VII's. Like, I don't get why we have to change RPG combat, like, to try and make it better and better. Like, I feel like if more RPGs nowadays would just do turn-based time-based combat, like Final Fantasy VII, that people wouldn't complain. I feel like they'd be like, oh, this... Yeah, they'd be like, this brings me back to the old games, and I think people nowadays are trying to emulate that live-action combat that Kingdom Hearts and Batman and stuff has.
Yeah.
Well,
Batman's very, very different in terms of the way it works.
Oh, I know, but I'm just generalizing here, like the way that people are trying to do combat, like the new Final Fantasy 15 that's coming out looks kind of like Kingdom Hearts-ish, Batman-ish combat, like a mix between the two. Where you can like dodge based on like markers, and then you can cast stuff, and I don't know. That's not really for me anymore.
See, I think more than the combat system, the materia system's more important.
Right.
Like the way it worked and everything, like being able to link it and stuff. In the other games like Crisis Core and stuff, that changed a lot. Like how the materia system worked and things, and it just wasn't anywhere near as good. Like,
we just need a sphere grid. Come on, just give us a sphere grid. I'm just kidding. No, I hope they don't change any of that. Like, I don't know. Like, they can add stuff in. Like, if it's story stuff or mini games, that's fine. They could even pull like a GameCube version of Skies of Arcadia where they added in a whole other storyline that eventually gave you like a new bad guy to fight that she was a female pirate that kept popping up.
I remember.
Yeah, and she was a great addition to that game, to an already perfect game. You wouldn't think that, a whole separate storyline, but that'd be fine.
Extra content is always welcome. Like,
right? Yeah, I feel like they need to.
It's fine.
They need to HD upgrade the game, but they need to keep it pretty much exactly the same. They could replace cutscenes. With highly rendered HD video. Like, it doesn't need to be like the weird kind of, I don't know, I guess what I'm trying to think of is like when you'd go into like a campfire or you'd go into like Cosmo Valley or something, you'd kind of have like that weird JPEG style background. Pre-rendered background, and you'd walk around. Like, I feel like they could fix that to where it would be an actual 3D environment that moved, that the grass would sway or something like that, or have like sand blowing.
I wouldn't even mind, like, if they did add in extra areas and things, they could have some pre-rendered backgrounds which would look amazing in today's technology anyway. Just to fill it up a bit more, and then of course they could have the main areas 3D, because I fully expect the main areas are going to be full 3D.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's pretty much taken for granted. And, like, all of the other versions, we've seen Midgar and everything in 3D quite a few times now. So no real excuses. So it probably will happen. But, like, if it was, like, a random guy's house or something just in the middle of the world map or something, I'm happy for that to be pre-rendered.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, they could easily do it kind of like an Ocarina of Time style thing where, like, you go into a house and it's a pre-rendered thing, but you go outside and it's 3D. And, like, they wouldn't even need to have jumping, where not Link, but Cloud kind of gets to an edge and he kind of rocks back and forth and then jumps to the other edge. Like, they could make that more fluid, but they could do it kind of like a Zelda type thing where once you get to the edge, he automatically just jumps and rolls over or whatever. Like, they could easily keep a lot of the original game into it without adding a bunch of new shit.
See, there was two things I was going to tell you. Okay, first one was in the original Final Fantasy VII, there was plans for an affection system, and it kind of made its way in a little bit. So basically, you could romance any of the characters, well, the female characters. Okay,
right. But now it's going to have both. And so you get the romance Vincent.
Well, possibly. But what I mean is, do you think that because it was cut for time, basically, do you think that's something they should add back in?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun because the people that haven't played 7 before will be like, oh man, Eris is so hot. Like, she's the hottest one, and they'll be like romancing her. Yeah. And they'll be like, Tifa's she's a big slut, so I'm going to go for Eris. And then that moment in the middle of the game happens, they'll be like, no, my girlfriend! happened? Like,
And then they're like, well, I'll go with Tifa then.
yeah, no, I think it'll impact them so much
what
more
they do.
because the whole thing
Yeah.
with Eris, or
Yeah.
is it Eris or Aerith? I always called her Eris.
It's Aerith in certain localizations, but they'll probably turn it to Aerith because it's changed to that quite a lot.
Okay, well, for all the people that are just face palming when I say Eris, so I understand that some people call her Aerith. But
So
Eris,
as well, but yeah.
yeah, when her death was quite a big moment in that game, and I feel like if they could do anything to up the stakes of that moment happening and make it that more dramatic, I'm totally down for it.
The other thing is, other content like that was in fact a rumored quest to bring Ares back to life, and again, there's like broken quest chains and things in the game where that was going to happen.
That'd be cool.
Do you think they should add that in?
I feel like it would be cool if it was like almost like an Omega Ruby or a Ruby weapon type situation where you didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
It was almost too
that's
hard
basically...
to want to do it.
Yeah.
Like if you had to go through, kill all the weapons, that would give the weapons like an actual point. And then you had to go through like these crazy like quests where you had to travel from one end of the earth to the other within like 4 minutes, kind of like a Begoron sword type quest chain that's not advertised. It's really kind of a pain in the ass. You don't need it to beat the game. If it just gives you like an extra like 15 seconds on the end cutscene type deal, I'd totally be down for it.
Do you think it would detract from the meaning behind Eris's death if she could bring her back to life?
It would, but I feel like it would be one of those two ending situations. Like if you want the good ending and the perfect ending. I feel like the people that don't want her to be savable won't do it. You know, and they'll get the ending that they remember and that they love.
Yeah.
And then they can go experience what it would be like. It'd be like our time travel discussion. What it would be like if you could save her.
See, I was going to say, if it had been like that in the original game and you could bring Ares back, do you think people would still be talking about her death now? Because it may have affected it to the point where, yeah, she's coming back.
I don't know. It depends on how they did it, because it was still a big, surprising impact. Like, she's in the water, and she's like, you know, and all this stuff, like, playing with the materia, and all of a sudden, you know, like, right through her freaking chest, and you're just like, holy shit, did that just happen? And
do you think they should add blood to that scene now?
Oh, yes, definitely. It should pool into the water, but it's Japan. They might censor that stuff. You never know. But I feel like, I don't know, like I know a lot of people disagree harshly that she should be alive for the exact points that you're saying.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. Eris would be super OP to have at the end later parts of the game because she's the best like healer.
One of the best characters.
Yeah, she's one of the best.
Tier.
Yeah. And so if you used her like during that last Sephiroth fight, it would be a joke.
Yeah.
But what if you brought her back to life? You went to the Sephiroth fight, insta kill Eris. He just insta kills her.
That would be cool. Yeah, as soon as he get into the last battle, he kills her again.
Yeah,
or something. Yeah, that could actually work. Like you could bring her back for game purposes and stuff.
Right.
But then, yeah.
Or you like
because it's the last battle of the game anyway. So.
Yeah, or you like bring her back like a ghost form, like materia form Eris. And she's not allowed to enter that last like crater where Sephiroth is and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like I don't know.
It could be like when Cloud and Sephiroth like face off at the very, very end and stuff. Like Ares is with you if you've brought her back to life, and then he just kills her again, and then Cloud's like super angry and does his Omni Slash.
Here's what they should do. I've solved it.
Good.
They should make a new game plus thing.
Yes.
Where after you beat the game once,
Yeah.
the second time through you can save Eris.
Yeah.
That's how they should do it.
That
way everyone gets that monumental experience of Eris dying, and you know the end cutscene's great because there she is and she's basically Gaia now and all that bullshit. And then you do a new game plus that gives it replayability, which on a game that has like that used to have 4 discs and like 100+ hours to the game is a big thing to want.
Yeah.
You know, and you could start the game with, you know, the ultimate weapons or whatever, and all your materia.
Just carry on.
Yeah, and just carry on, and then the New Game Plus, you'd get all the material to carry over. That way you could keep leveling it to beat Ruby Weapon.
And there'd be some kind of like Easter egg in there when Aeris dies again, where you can kind of like grab something or something that would help bring her back to life, because it's going to happen.
Right.
Like,
right.
It's like, no, not this time. Grab like the materia that falls off or something.
What if they do it so that like you're like, oh, this is the backstory that helps me save Aeris. You go and you're at the scene with the pool of water. Cloud like jumps in, pushes her out of the way, and then Sephiroth kills Cloud. And the rest of the game, Aeris is the main character.
That would take a lot of changes. I think you're dreaming there, but it would be cool. That would be cool, like proper choice there.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, Cloud died. He's the best character.
My favorite, worst emo character.
So the last thing I was going to say was in the original game there are tons of little mini games and things, like some good, some really annoying.
Chocobo races.
So for instance, like the squats mini game when you're trying to become a lady. And stuff. CPR on the little girl, that kind of thing. Do you think they should have all those in, or would you not care if they got rid of those, or if they changed them?
I like those little mini games. Like, I'm always down for mini games. Like, I was a big fan of Shenmue. Like the whole 90% of that game was mini games. Like, I love to have like a break from the gameplay, and I think they should keep that stuff. Like, they can make it, like, even if it looks silly at high res graphics, they could still do it.
So do you think like the ones, for instance, the CPR and the dolphin jumping thing, they were necessary to do to carry on with the story, and that's why a lot of people got frustrated? Do you think it should still be like that and people must do them, or do you think in the modern age it should be?
I think they should still do it. Like, screw the people that can't do it.
Yeah.
Like they could do it. They could do it in different ways, where one of them, like, it wouldn't just be button mashing or stuff like that. Like, they could change the system to where it's almost like a quick time, or like press this button or these two buttons together, like to or LR, like stuff like that. Like, they don't have to do it the exact same way that they did in the old game, but I feel like the games themselves like worked as kind of like a refreshing break from everything.
So the last thing then is going back to the CPR game. It's now advised when performing CPR that you do not breathe air into the lungs. Whereas in that, it was purely breathing air into the lungs. For the sake of responsible messages to the public, do you think it should change it?
Japan's not going to give a shit.
It could be a rhythm action game where you have to like get the beat going back in.
Yeah, it could be like like the pumping the heart motion instead. Like it. That's not. Who cares?
Do you think people would cry betrayal if they did that though?
Right. It's just freaking Red 13 just sitting on someone's face, and you just have Jam X to revive them. Like, I don't know. Like, Japan doesn't give a shit.
Okay. Well,
but I think the main thing is, don't change what you don't need to change. Like, everything that worked is what made that game. Like, that game is a legend for a reason. Like, you don't improve on things. Like, don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly.
Yeah. But you can always like add to it in the same, if you want to keep it in the same vein. I think that's the main thing. So yeah, I think that's.
We agree
there. Yeah. So I think that we went all no lives on that conversation as well, Adam. So thanks everyone for listening. I've been Everett.
I've been Adam.
And this has been the No Lives Remaining podcast. and bye from Cloud.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
See you. Bye, my game.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for listening. See you next time.
Bye.
Slave. Fawn. Kill him.